welcome to today's edition of today's review. We've got so much in stock for you. Without wasting any further time, we'll show you our Tits and Bit segment, and when we come back, I'll introduce the guest in the house. I'll be right back. Like I said, I've got a guest in the house, Stella. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to have you back again
good
today.
To be here.
Quickly, we're going to talk about what's most trending in the world today. It's the German wing plane crash live yesterday. Now, the new evidence that suggests that the descent to destruction actually took place yesterday in 18 minutes. There were speculations yesterday that the aircraft was gliding for about 8 minutes before, it went down. But new evidence today suggesting that it took 18 minutes actually. And also new evidence suggests that the plane, there are at least 3 British citizens on board. We've got a short clip of the Foreign Secretary actually talking about the fact that there could even be more than 3 British citizens in that aircraft. We're going to quickly take the clip by the Foreign Secretary, and then we'll come back, we'll talk a bit more about the crash yesterday. Let's watch this clip.
Devastated family members are gathering here at Düsseldorf Airport, where the doomed flight was headed, and also at Barcelona Airport, where the flight originated. A crisis center has been set up with a team of psychologists for those who need care. Relatives, many crying, were escorted by police and airport staff as they made their way through the airports. Officials believe there were no survivors after the Airbus A320.
The German wings accident is a terrible tragedy, and I want to offer heartfelt condolences to the families and friends of all those involved in the accident. We currently believe that 3 British people have been killed in this tragedy, but we can't rule out the possibility that there are further British people involved. The level of information on the flight manifest doesn't allow us to rule out that possibility until we've completed some further checks. We are in contact with the families of those known to have been killed. We're also in contact with the French, German and Spanish authorities, and once we have a clearer picture, we'll make a further announcement. It is a very widely used aircraft. Of course, it has a very good safety record, and the normal aviation safety authorities will be looking at the facts of this case, and they and the Department for Transport will take any action necessary. Thank you.
Now, Stella, witnesses have actually described the picture of horror on the mountainside. Also, information reaching us says that a damaged but usable black box has been recovered from the scene. We just saw Philip Harmon talking about the fact that there could be more than 3 British citizens on that aircraft. Now, the crash actually in the French Alps yesterday has brought profound grief and sorrow on all the families, friends and colleagues of the victims. But it is also extremely rare, almost unimaginable that a large European passenger jet of that nature cruising at a level that, you wouldn't expect that to happen on the safest skies actually in the world, for it to crash that way. And that is why one of the most asked questions right now in the mouths of everyone is flying getting more dangerous? 10 years ago, you rarely hear of, plane crash. But between last year and this year, we've seen countless, we've heard countless stories of plane crash. Even last year, there's still 2 aircraft that we still don't have the answers to what happened to them. So people are asking, is flying getting more dangerous?
I wouldn't say that flying is getting more dangerous. Again, we have to remember that the media 10 years ago was not as big as it is today. So possibly 10 years ago, these things were happening, but it's just that there was not enough awareness as today, as we are seeing today, with all the news, the media getting involved, finding out what's the newest news out there. So we're seeing the reports of the plane crashes and also the ones that were missing last year. It shows actually, even the aircraft, it happened a couple of years ago, missing aircrafts. It's been happening in the past if you look back. So it's not something that's new, but it is something that we've been seeing more frequently now. I wouldn't say that it's dangerous, but I would say that they need to look for alternatives and ways to better the aircrafts so that there can be less accidents like we're seeing today.
But maybe better training for...
Yeah, better training in case an accident may, like an emergency, for instance, like what happened yesterday happened. So, you know, yeah, as you said, better training.
The least we can say is we pray that God gives members of, you know, the families of the people that were in that aircraft the fortitude to bear the loss. You can never truly comfort a person who's lost someone. It's just the Spirit of God that can actually comfort anybody in this situation right now. Quickly move on to our next story. This is a lovely one. It says, brain tumor boy Aisha King is free of cancer after proton therapy, parents say. Now, last year, it was a big story, you know, when the parents of 5-year-old Aisha King were jailed after taking their son abroad for, you know, the tumor treatment. They have come out to say now that Aisha is cancer-free. We've got a short clip to show you, just to, you know, refresh you of what happened last year, and how eventually the parents of the young boy got clearance to take the boy to Spain to get the treatment that he required. When we come back, you will be talking to us. Was it a great, so at the end of the day, was it a great move? Did they put themselves at risk for nothing, or has it been worth it? Let's watch that clip. We'll be right back.
It was last August security cameras caught Brett King taking Asha out of Southampton General Hospital against medical advice. The family travelled to Spain, but Brett King and his wife Nagme were picked up after Hampshire police controversially sought a European arrest warrant. They were kept in jail for several nights before being released. They claimed they'd fled to Spain because Asha couldn't get the treatment he needed on the NHS, something Southampton General denied. After a long legal battle, the Kings won the right to take Asha to Prague for a treatment called proton beam therapy, a form of radiation that targets cancer cells while leaving healthy tissue virtually untouched. Asha's family say it saved his life. But in a statement today, Southampton General Hospital said the trust considered there will be no benefit to Asha of proton radiotherapy over standard radiotherapy, and that view was supported by a national, independent expert body. Other cancer experts support that.
Proton beam therapy, while very exciting in other cases, would not have improved the cure rate. Also, transfer abroad is risky because of the complexity of the pathway and the need for a whole team.
There's no doubt Asha King does look much better, and certainly his parents remain convinced their dramatic intervention has been entirely justified.
Now, Stella, tell me, from the report we just saw, the University Hospital Southampton, the trust, they actually concluded at the time Aisha didn't need a proton radiotherapy as opposed to the standard radiotherapy that the child was getting. The parents have come forward to say, as a result of the proton radiotherapy, the child is completely cured. And they're still, the hospital trust, they're still standing by what they said. So what does this mean?
If it was your child, first of all, wouldn't you want the best option for your child? You want the best treatment that is possible. So if you know that there's something abroad, especially a country that is your nationality, such as Spain, wouldn't you want to go there where you know you can get this proton beam therapy? I personally would if it was my own child. So let alone, although they're saying in the hospital that, you know, he could have had the orthodox X-ray therapy, I would choose to do what is better for my child. That's my own blood. It's not their own blood. This is my child who I gave birth to.
And that decision was left to the parents to make.
Yeah, not for the NHS, not for the hospital, not for the doctors to make, but for Aisha's parents, because they know better for their child. At the end of the day, they only want the best for their child.
And at the end of the day, it paid off.
Yeah, it paid off. As we can see, it paid off. Like, for instance, NHS as well, they select 150 children
Kids.
to go abroad to America to get this proton beam, because they don't have it at the moment in United Kingdom. I don't know if they're looking by 2018 to have this proton beam in London and in Manchester.
But that's what is shocking, because if at the time we didn't have that treatment and the families were saying, this is what our child needs, release the child to us, what was the need for the refusal?
You know, I don't want to be systematic or say anything that's controversial. But, you know, United Kingdom like to think that they have the best treatment, which is not necessarily the truth, to be honest.
Well, that's your opinion.
Yeah, that is what
okay, we're just glad at the outcome. At the end of the day, it was worth it. They said their child is cured, and we wish them the best. We wish the child the best of recovery. Yeah. Quickly, we'll move on to our next one. This one, I'm going to throw a question to you. The article is actually titled, "Man Amazed to Wake Up and Find 1.25 million mistakenly deposited in his bank account." Now that's a big one. Stella, you wake up one morning, you want to go shopping online, you go into your account and you find 1.25 million has been deposited in your account. You were not expecting it. You're not doing that sort of business that's going to put that money in your account. What would be your first reaction?
I'd keep it.
You would keep it?
Of course, I'll probably go shopping and spend some money on my friends.
Now there is a law. There's a law that says if you do a thing like that, you probably go to jail for it, or at least you would have to pay back the money you spent. Now, according to this story, this man, found that money in his account. Initially, he was excited and he was immediately thinking of all the things he could do with the money, but then, he thought better to call his bank, called NatWest, and he was told that the money was actually paid into his account from an investment company, and they told him they would take the money out, but it took 10 days. And this guy was sitting there every day, unable to use his account because they put money in his account. And like I was saying, there is a law prohibiting you from touching that kind of money. I don't know, it just feels strange that if you touched the money, you could get in trouble. Meanwhile, you sat at home minding your business and that money came into your account. Shouldn't the banks be, it's their mistake. At the end of the day, you didn't go steal the money. You sat down minding your business and the money came to you.
Yeah, they should give him some sort of compensation for waiting at least 10 days for not being able to touch his account.
Exactly. We would like you to send in your thoughts if you saw that sort of money. It doesn't have to be 1.5 million. It could be 500 pounds. It could be 200 pounds. But if you weren't expecting the money and you saw it, would you use the money, or would you call the bank, to investigate? If you've got a thought on that, send us an email at today'sreview@loveworldtv.co.uk, and we will definitely read out your thoughts concerning that. Just in case that happens, Stella, don't use the money. Okay, quickly, we'll move on to our next one. It's our main story for the day. It's about our sleeping habits. Now, some people think that you need to sleep when you're tired, but that's not necessarily the case, because according to findings, when you are sleeping, actually, your head, your body is actually working, and sleep does a lot of good for you whilst you're sleeping. So it's not just about, I'm tired, I need to sleep. We've got a short clip that we're going to show, and when we come back, Stella, you will talk to us about sleeping, our sleeping patterns. Let's watch this clip.
It's 4 a.m. and the big test is in 8 hours, followed by a piano recital. You've been studying and playing for days, but you still don't feel ready for either. So what can you do? Well, you can drink another cup of coffee and spend the next few hours cramming and practicing. But believe it or not, you might be better off closing the books, putting away the music, and going to sleep. Sleep occupies nearly a third of our lives, but many of us give surprisingly little attention and care to it. This neglect is often the result of a major misunderstanding. Sleep isn't lost time, or just a way to rest when all our important work is done. Instead, it's a critical function, during which your body balances and regulates its vital systems, affecting respiration and regulating everything from circulation to growth and cortex. REM sleep, on the other hand, with its similarity to waking brain activity, is associated with the consolidation of procedural memory. So based on the studies, going to sleep 3 hours after memorizing your formulas and 1 hour after practicing your scales would be the most ideal. So hopefully you can see now that skimping on sleep not only harms your long-term health, but actually makes it less likely that you'll retain all that knowledge and practice from the previous night. All of which just goes to affirm the wisdom of the phrase, sleep on it. When you think about all the internal restructuring and forming of new connections that occurs while you slumber, you could even say that proper sleep will have you waking up every morning with a new and improved brain, ready to face the challenges ahead.
Stella, how much sleep do we need?
Well, apparently, due to Dr. Greg's Jacob, we have about 7 hours of sleep. That is ideal for anybody. 7 hours of sleep, according to the national poll. The typical ideal, it will be 7 hours for adults.
So if I slept under 7 hours, what happens to me?
Well, apparently you can tend to, you'll probably die earlier, they say.
That's what science says.
Yeah,
that
that's
if you
what science says.
If you regularly sleep under 7 hours, 6 hours every day, you really dying early. And if you sleep over 7 hours,
you risk dying earlier as well. But you're more likely to probably get depressed, you know, and get.
So what should we do? Time ourselves and ensure that we're sleeping either 6 or 7 hours.
Well, apparently, like until the 17th century, they used to have like 2 segments of sleep, an hour and 2 hours, and then in between that probably go and pray and do other activities, and go back to sleep. So it's possible.
Wow. You heard that. Science says sleep between 6 and 7 hours, nothing less, nothing more. I wish we could have taken more on this, but that's the much we can take now. Stella, thanks for coming on the program. Look forward to seeing you again next week.
Thank you.
That's all we can take for today. Until same time tomorrow, I'm Rio Sazwa. Have a great day. Bye now.